In this video we're going to learn about some of the things that we should do for SEO before we actually start. And with search engine optimization, 90% of the work is in the planning. So we should be spending all of our time planning things, understanding things, making sure we know absolutely exactly what we need to do. And then we'll spend 10% of our time actually doing the doing. I see a lot of people leap straight in and try and do things with SEO, but that's actually the wrong approach. The more time you spend thinking about things, the better your results will be. So as a beginner, what do we need to do before we start? Well, there are a number of tools that we should have. Most of them are Google tools, and Google works by trying to work out a sort of trust for your store. How much does it trust you? What does it think about you? What sort of reputation do you have? And all of these things will affect your SEO performance. The more it trusts you, the more it knows about you, the higher your reputation is within Google, the higher your rankings will be. And this is typically why bigger, well-known brands will outrank unknown brands that have just hit the market. So we need to go and sign up for some collateral from Google, and we're going to start here with Google Search Console. So this is a tool from Google that allows us to analyze our website, to see what's going on with it, to do some keywords research with it, and it's quite a fundamental tool to knowing what is going on with our store. So go ahead to Google Search Console and sign up for that. It's a free tool. You will need to verify the account and add the websites you require to make sure nobody else can kind of do this to your store. Google requires you normally to create some domain records, some DNS records, or to put some code on your store, or to take a number of different actions. It does provide you with the instructions of how to do that. The easiest way for me is just to create some DNS entries if you have that. And set the locality if you're not targeting the USA. This is quite an important thing. Most people will be targeting the USA, so the defaults will work. If you're trying to sell in the UK, you're trying to sell around the world, you will need to change some of those defaults. So heading over to Search Console here, I'm going to pick my own store, Katie's Boutique, which is a .co.uk store targeting the United Kingdom. And under search traffic, you have a tab here of international targeting. So I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to click on country, and it tells me your site's domain is currently associated with the target United Kingdom. So that's telling Google that we are interested in traffic for the United Kingdom. And when we want to be displayed as a search result, primarily that's what we're interested in. We're interested in the United Kingdom. It's a strong signal to Google about where the customers are for our store. Most people will have the US. The US is the default. But if you have a different country, come in here and please do set that. If you don't have Google Analytics, go ahead and create yourself a Google Analytics account. I'll do some other videos that explain how to do that, where to put the code, how to add the extra e-commerce fields that you need. But go ahead and do that. Most people should have that. Again, verify it so that you own it and link it as required. So if we go back into Search Console and select verification details, we can verify that we own websites here, but also we have a box for Google Analytics properties, and that allows us to link our Google Analytics to our Google Search Console. What that does is it now provides two sets of data to Google, and each one of these will provide enhanced information to the other. So we now have more information to deal with than we otherwise would have done. Do you have Google AdWords? Well, if you want to advertise using Google AdWords or Google Shopping, you'll need to go and create yourself a Google AdWords account. Also, Google has a keyword analysis tool built into Google AdWords. So if you create yourself a Google AdWords account, you can go in and use that keyword research tool for free, and that will give you hints, tips, suggestions and search volumes for various keywords. That's something that is going to be very, very useful to us as we delve into a few more lectures and lessons about how to research what people are actually searching for. If you want to use Google Shopping ads, and those are the display type ads, when you Google something, it comes up with an image and says this product is available, and it gives you a price. That is Google Shopping. You will need a Merchant Center account in order to do that. So go ahead and create a Merchant Center account. Again, verify it, validate it, link it if you need to. If you have a physical presence or a physical address, so not just an e-commerce store, we happen to have a bricks and mortar store as well with a physical address. Go ahead and create yourself a Google Business account and then create that location in that account. That really helps your SEO locally, helps people find you, not just on the internet, but it helps people find your physical store, come into your store and buy products from you. Do you have a Facebook page? This might seem very obvious, but go ahead and create a Facebook page for your business. How does that affect Google? Google goes and looks for validated and verified pages and other content from other people to work out how reputable you are. The more of these that you have, the more of them verified, validated, linked together, the more Google thinks, well, these guys are serious, we'll take them seriously, and the more likely they are to display your results over somebody else. In terms of the Facebook page, an example of how the two things are linked, Google will sometimes display some starred ratings, a 3-star, 4-star, 5-star rating for your store. It displays an aggregate based on what it knows about on the internet. So they're not just Google ratings. It'll go away to your Facebook page and take all of the ratings for your Facebook page, take all of the ratings it finds for other places, aggregate them all together and give you an aggregated score based on what it knows about you from around the web. So the Facebook page and the reviews you get on your page are actually quite important in helping Google build that bigger picture of who you are and what you are around the web. If you don't have a Facebook Business Manager account, go ahead and create one of those. Do you have a domain registered, verified, and email set up? If at all possible, you should always use a custom domain name, www.mystore.com, as opposed to mystore.shopify.com. So Shopify, you can get those. I believe they're for free. Domains tend to be pretty cheap, but if you can go and register one that is for your own business, you should go ahead and do that and use it. It adds a level of professionalism to your business. In some of the other SEO tutorials, I'll be talking to you about how to decide on a name and the importance of what you choose of a name in SEO. An example of that, I sell lingerie. Having the word lingerie in the domain name really helps. If I called it Tony's Clothes or something, that has less of an impact from an SEO point of view. So I'll explain to you how to pick a domain name, how to research it, but you should always use a custom name if possible. Again, you should have email addresses that come from that domain, as opposed to a Google account or Hotmail account or something like that. Is it all linked, verified, correctly configured? That's really important, because if you can link these things together, validate them, verify them properly, do all the steps that you needed to do, that gives a lot more weight than if you don't do that. Lastly, do you have SEMRush installed? SEMRush is a free tool that I use. There are others out there. Ahrefs is an example, but there are a number of tools that help you with researching keywords. Don't rush in to sign up for that just yet. You get a free trial, which I think is 7 days. So just before you are ready to do keyword research and jump into actually doing things, sign up for that free trial on SEMRush. This is what it looks like over here and the sort of information and tools that it gives you. But the 7-day free trial will be more than enough time to get all of the research done that you need to do and get things implemented in the store. So you'll be able to get all that information, cancel the free trial, and you've had use of this tool and it's not cost you anything for that. So there are other tools available, but you will need some sort of tool to do that. I prefer things like that over the Google keyword research tool because in my mind it's just a better tool. It's easier to use. What is the age of the domain and how long is it registered for? If you have an older domain name, that is better for your SEO. Google thinks the longer you've been around, the more reputable you are, the more trustworthy you are. And what we're trying to do is to build trust and build a reputation in our store, so Google can trust the results, trust who we are, and is more inclined to display those. So an older domain, it may be better for you to go and buy one off the shelf that's 3, 4, 5 years old perhaps. That may well help you. Older domains are valued more for SEO by Google. The older your domain is, the better it is for you. Is the domain verified? Has email set up with SPF records? SPF is the Sender Protection Framework, and SPF is a trust mechanism for emails that allow receivers to know who you are and to be able to trust that an email is genuine, not spam email, it's come from the right person, it's signed, etc. So you should talk to your domain name provider or your email provider about setting up Sender Protection Framework records. That's particularly important if you're going to go and use things that send out emails. MailChimp, for an example, Aweber, or any of these kind of bulk email tools, or Klaviyo as an example within Shopify. If you set up SPF records, your emails are more likely to go through people's spam boxes and directly into their inbox because you're a trustworthy sender. That can have quite a significant impact on emails, as much as 50%. You can get double the emails through just by having a sender protection framework. Does the domain contain keywords? Is it optimized for target keywords or products? I'll explain how to choose a domain name in some of the other videos, but you should get a domain name. Is the domain targeted for the correct geography in Search Console? Default is North America. So if you have a .com domain name, Google instinctively thinks you're targeting North America, specifically the United States, but North America in general. If you have a .co.uk name, it thinks you're targeting the UK. So you should get the right domain name extension for the area you're trying to target. If you're operating a company that is truly global, and I know everybody thinks that they are, but if you think you have a truly global company, try and go for the .com. If you're running a real global company that has presence across Australia, Europe, America, then get multiple domain names and run multiple websites. So have a .com for the USA, a .co.uk for the UK and Europe, and a .com.au for Australia, for example. Within Shopify, set the primary domain to the one that you've chosen you're going to use, and then make sure any other domains that you have redirect to the primary domain. That's really important. So if you're going to pick mysite.com, go into Shopify and create 2 domains. One is www.mysite.com. The other one is just mysite.com. Set www as the primary, and then redirect all other domains that you have to that. And the reason for that is because Google treats each individual domain as a separate entity unless you tell it otherwise. So by having that redirect and redirecting everything to one place, you have one entity to deal with, and all of your SEO information is forwarded to that one entity. Set HTTPS. Well, that's now the default in Shopify, but HTTPS is a signal to Google that you are more trustworthy than HTTP. So a secured site is more trustworthy than an unsecured site. But that was introduced a couple of years ago, but it's now the standard in Shopify. There's some other things here that you can have a read. They probably won't make a lot of sense to you at the moment, but in future videos we will go through each of these and explain it in more detail, what they mean, what they do, and how to actually implement them. Optimization for humans is quite an important thing. This is not really an SEO thing, but it is a conversion rate thing. What are your first impressions of the site? You know, if you go there, what would you score the site out of 10? 10 being solid gold and 1 being junk. What do you think about your site? Is it a 1 out of 10? Is it a 10 out of 10? Is it a 5 out of 10? Because what you feel about the site commands the price you can charge. If you feel your site is a 10 out of 10, you can command a really high price. If you feel your site is a 1 out of 10, not so much. It's the same product. It's exactly the same product. But what we feel about the site dictates whether we will buy from that site and the price that we're willing to pay for that product. You can get other people to test that and to give you feedback on it as well. So don't take your own word for it. Go and get a dozen friends to take a look over it. Just give you some feedback. I'm not talking about technical critique here. I'm not telling you, you don't have enough trust symbols or the font is wrong. It's just a gut feeling. What do you feel about the site? Do I like it? Do I not like it? What do you think about it? That's very, very important. And some other things to think about to start with are what your current traffic levels are, paid and organic. Where do you currently get your traffic from? What's the conversion rates for each of the sources? Cost of sale. You tend to think that you know the answer to these things. And a piece of advice I'll give you from many years in e-commerce is assume you know nothing. Assume I don't know anything. And if you take that attitude, you won't go far wrong. We're going to get evidence, and we're going to take that evidence and we're going to believe it. And if the facts tell us that something is correct, then we're going to go with that. What you feel about things and what you think about things invariably tends to be wrong unless you've had that evidence. So that's just a few things to think about. Go and get these things set up to start with. Make sure you have them all there. They're all linked together, they're validated, they're verified, all the buttons are pressed, all the boxes are ticked and checked. And when you're ready to go on to keyword research, get SEMRush and get the free 7-day trial for that. Do not do that, I'll stress this again, do not do that until you've watched the research video and you are ready to do the research, because you've only got 7 days in the trial and there's a lot to cram in those 7 days if you want to get that for free. So that's the prerequisites to it. In the next video, we're going to talk about some of the research, how to research the words that we're going to use, and then subsequent videos to that we'll talk about how we're going to implement them. Any questions as usual, you can mail me at tony@wiredup.com, WYRED-UP, wiredup.com. Or if you have any of our apps, you can get support from support@wiredup.com. So drop me a line with any questions or feel free to ask away.